So first of all, I would love to know if there's anyone on the planet who didn't love Into the Spider-Verse. Not only because of what a wonderful surprise it was, but because of the brilliant originality, how carefully it was put together, the art style, the music, the storytelling, and the journey of it all. They took something as complex as the Spider-Verse, which, let's face it, isn't something you just throw together into a banger, and didn't only make it a terrific Spider-Man movie, but one that explored multiple interesting, eclectic characters, and also, and this is going to sound pretentious, challenges the audience understanding of what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. Like, it's not just the powers and enhancements, it's the whole leap of faith thing, and that final moment when things come together for Miles. Excellent stuff. And so, now there's a sequel, and it begs the question, how does it compare? A sequel should be able to stand on its own, but when it follows an absolute juggernaut, it's hard not to ask. So simply put, yeah, it's incredible. As if it were possible, the animation has been dialed up from 11 to 15. They doubled down on the charm and quality of a varying number of animation styles. It's actually incredible. Even more than the first one, I challenge you to find a single still frame that wouldn't make a killer poster. The music was also a huge feature of the last one, and it's great here too. The songs aren't quite as grabbing, but it makes up for it with an insanely creative and varied score. And then the characters. Literally hundreds of them this time, and though they definitely don't all get a ton of screen time, of course not. But I can't think it's even remotely possible to catch all the different Spider-Mans on one or even two viewings. And yeah, we have some old favorites back, and a few new additions. It's not unique to point this out because everyone is, but Spider-Punk is a legend and probably my favorite Spider-Man in this one. Probably, it's hard to say. Gwen, Miles, and Ben Reilly all can make a claim for that one. Then there's the members of the Rogues Gallery. The Spot shows up in the trailers, and honestly, I thought he'd be a brief starter bad guy for the opening and then be forgotten shortly after, but he's handled so brilliantly. I don't always write home about Jason Schwartzman. Wow, that's hard for me to say, but he's just perfect for this. The character's funny, offers lots of fun spatial twists in the scenes he's in, and they handle his development better than I ever expected. The main conflict itself also builds up nicely and hits a really engaging round of action scenes as things are getting where they're going. And there, I need to leave my summary there so as not to spoil anything plot-wise for anyone who hasn't seen it, but how does it compare? Well, brilliantly. See previously mentioned points, it's excellent. But when you find gold where you weren't expecting it, even if you start digging right away afterwards and find gold again, can it ever be as special? This isn't a criticism. Was it even possible to hit as hard as its predecessor? I think maybe not. If there's going to be a sequel, this is the one, and I couldn't be happier. In fact, I'm amazed the best Spider-Man movie ever could even have a follow-up in the first place, let alone one that's this good. And to be fair, the follow-up to this one is next year, so maybe the two combined will be greater than this is alone. It's just interesting to answer the question that can't help but be asked. Simply by making a sequel, there's an immediate comparison issue there that you just don't get with original intellectual property. Or it doesn't even have to be original, when it's your first pass on something. There's a lot of freedom in trying something you've never tried before. I mean, inherent in making a sequel, there is a comparison. And sometimes, if the original's not getting 10s out of 10s on everything, yeah, there is room to improve. But when you do something as excellently as Into the Spider-Verse was, is being that good almost a curse on any sequels that follow it? It may not have necessarily needed one, but it definitely didn't feel like the wrong thing to make a sequel to it. It was such a big world that they created that making a follow-up made sense, and exploring some things further made sense. This wasn't like something I was rolling my eyes when they said they were making another one. No, I wanted more of this. There's just a lot to unpack about the merits versus challenges of making an excellent film that's so good it needs a sequel, but then the problem created by novelty, which you don't have anymore, and expectation, which you have in droves. I don't know what the answer is. It's a tough thing in filmmaking, and this movie does it great, but that childlike wonder that you got out of watching Into the Spider-Verse, it's probably unfair to expect it. There's just a weird tension between making something amazing, whether or not to make a follow-up, and then just like how to make that follow-up stand on its own and be quality with that comparison lingering there. I don't know what the answer is, but it's interesting to dive into. And with that, do I have any criticisms? Yeah, the sound editing is a bit wonky. It's kind of a milder version of the issue Christopher Nolan had with Tenet for some reason, but only in a scene or two and not for more than a few lines. It really wasn't that big of a deal, but it's annoying that we can get movies through the massive crew that is assigned to work on it and still have things like this where like, yeah, what did he just say? I don't know. I also didn't like I think it's a Banksy bit. I thought that was hilarious in the first one, and they reused the same voiceover and placed it in a way less amusing spot. It's just there, and it's not funny, and it really bugged me. But the fact that is one of the only two criticisms I've got for this one. It's pretty forgettable, so I don't have much to say. This movie's incredible, and the out-of-nowhere success of the first one inherently makes it impossible for lightning to strike twice. And the thing is, as interesting as the answer is, it probably doesn't matter. They're making killer Spider-Man movies and pushing what can be done in an animated picture, and I like it. Again, I'd love to know if anyone out there doesn't think highly of this series. Let me know below. I love you guys. We'll talk soon.